I slid the receipt across the table, didn't say a word. She looked at me like I'd just lost my mind. "You're joking, right?" she laughed, sipping her $19 cocktail. But I wasn't laughing. I had itemized every single thing she ever made me pay for, and tonight, it was her turn. My name is Jordan Wells. I'm 42 years old, live in Austin, Texas, and I've been in regional sales for over 15 years. I'm the kind of guy who believes in hard work, loyalty, and when I love someone, I go all in. I wasn't rich, but I made good money. Enough to live well. Enough to support someone I believed in. But what I didn't see, or maybe refused to see, was how deep someone could reach into your pocket and your soul without ever saying thank you. She used to call me her rock. Said she felt safe with me. I believed her. I paid for everything: dinner, trips, rent, car payments. I didn't mind at first. I thought I was investing in a future together. She told me she had dreams: fashion, content creation, starting a business. I was proud to support that. But it wasn't long before I realized I wasn't supporting a dream. I was financing a lie. That night, I watched her skim the bill like she'd never seen one before. She started talking about dessert, like I hadn't just handed her the cold truth, printed in black ink and bold totals. But I didn't flinch, didn't raise my voice. I just looked her in the eye and said, "You've been dining for free on my dime for 14 months. Tonight, I'm just here to settle the check." She blinked, confused. And that's when I knew. She never thought I'd wake up. She never thought the guy who paid for everything would finally send her the bill. And trust me, this was just the beginning. Before everything fell apart, it honestly felt like a dream. We met at a coffee shop near downtown. She was standing in front of me, arguing with the barista about almond milk, and somehow turned that into a 5-minute TED Talk on dairy injustice. It was ridiculous. And I was hooked. Her name was Maya. She was 31. Loud, unapologetic, magnetic. The kind of woman who made you feel like the most interesting man alive just for existing in her orbit. She told me on our second date that she wanted to build something big, her own brand, her own voice, her own money. Said she was tired of punching the clock and wanted to become someone her younger self would admire. I respected that. Hell, I admired it. So I supported her. Not just emotionally, but financially too. At first, it was small things: picking up the tab, sending her a bit when her freelance payment was late, helping her get out of her roommate's situation. It all felt reasonable. Temporary. Like something you just do for someone you love. And to be honest, I enjoyed being able to help. She used to say things like, "You're the first man who believes in me like this. You're my safe space." We weren't married. Not yet. But I thought maybe someday. We traveled together: New Orleans, Denver, Miami. She'd take photos for her Instagram while I booked the Airbnbs and covered flights. She'd say, "I'll pay you back when my brand pops off." But I didn't press. I didn't care. I wasn't counting receipts. I was counting moments. I thought we were growing together. Then, slowly, things started to shift. She stopped calling me her rock and started calling me her default. Default for dinner. Default for Uber. Default for rent when her project stalled again. She quit her part-time job to go all in on content. Suddenly, I was covering groceries, gas, phone bills. She promised it was just for now. I didn't argue. I trusted her. But there were signs. Little things that didn't add up. Her wardrobe got more expensive. She started ordering takeout when I wasn't around. She'd say things like, "You've got it, babe. This is nothing for you." Sometimes, when she thought I was asleep, I'd hear her giggling at her phone. "Just memes," she'd say. I wanted to believe that. I really did. Because the truth is, I loved her. And when you love someone, sometimes you choose not to see. You choose to believe in who they were, not who they're becoming. But love isn't supposed to be a subscription service. And one day, I started wondering, who's really paying for this relationship? Not just in dollars, but in energy, in patience, in pieces of myself I kept handing over while she gave nothing back. It didn't happen all at once. There was no loud betrayal, no screaming match, no final straw you could point to and say, "There. That's when it broke." No, it was quieter than that. Slower. Like water dripping behind a wall, warping everything from the inside out. I started noticing things. Her phone was always face down. Always on silent. She used to laugh and show me memes, random texts from her cousins. Now she'd tuck it away the second I entered the room. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd shrug. "Nobody important. Don't be insecure." She started going out more. Solo girls' nights that I wasn't invited to. Weekend brunches that turned into overnight stays at her friend's apartment because she was too tired to drive back. Meanwhile, I was the one paying for her gas. It wasn't just her behavior. It was her energy. She wasn't warm anymore, just present. Physically there, emotionally gone. She'd scroll through her phone at dinner, barely look up when I talked. Once, I told her I'd gotten a promotion, a big one. She smiled, nodded, then asked if I could Venmo her $85 for a studio rental she needed the next day. No congratulations. No excitement. Just another ask. Another withdrawal. That night, I sat in the living room alone, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead. And for the first time in months, I asked myself a question I'd been avoiding. If I stopped paying, would she still be here? The next morning, I started observing everything. Receipts, dates, phone patterns, mood swings. I didn't say a word, just watched. I remembered her saying she couldn't afford therapy sessions anymore. But she had a new pair of designer sneakers delivered the next week. She claimed she wasn't active on social anymore. But a buddy of mine, who follows her secret second account, showed me stories of her at rooftop bars, places I'd never been invited to. Then came the Uber notifications. I'd helped set up her ride account a year ago, and my email still got monthly statements. That's when I noticed something strange. Multiple rides. Odd locations. Always late-night pickups from my place, but drop-offs nowhere near her apartment. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. That love required trust. That maybe I was just tired, stressed, imagining things. But the gut doesn't lie. And mine had been screaming for weeks. Then it happened. One night, I got up around 2 a.m., couldn't sleep. As I passed through the hallway, I saw it. Her phone, on the kitchen counter, screen lighting up in the dark. I don't know what made me stop. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was survival. But I picked it up, and I saw a name I didn't recognize. Cam Woozy Face Fire. I opened the thread, and there it was. Laughing emojis. Dinner photos I didn't take. Voice notes. Selfies I'd never seen. One message stuck out, burned into my brain like a brand. He still thinks I'm building a brand. LMAO. I just let him think I'm working. Pays better than OnlyFans. I stood there for a long time frozen, phone in my hand, heart in my throat. I didn't wake her, didn't scream, didn't break anything. I just set the phone down, walked into the bathroom, and looked in the mirror at a man who had been paying for everything, except the truth. That night, something in me changed. Not with rage, not with heartbreak, but with clarity. And I knew it was time to stop being her safety net, time to stop being her fool, time to build a plan. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to her, listening to her breathe like nothing had happened, while every word, every laugh from that text thread echoed in my head. Pays better than OnlyFans. Still thinks I'm building a brand. My body was frozen, but my mind was racing. And somewhere in those hours between 2 a.m. and sunrise, something inside me shut off. Not in anger, not in heartbreak, in silence, like a switch. The next morning, she woke up humming, stood in front of the mirror adjusting her curls, telling me how exhausting last night's shoot had been. I nodded, asked if she wanted coffee. She smiled. You're such a good man. And I just watched her sip what I'd made, wrapped in the comfort of my apartment, wearing pajamas I'd bought, with a phone I'd paid for sitting next to her. I didn't say a word, because this was no longer about confrontation. This was about control. Later that day, while she was out, I sat at my desk and opened a folder on my laptop titled Maya Finances. I pulled every statement I could find. $138 Uber to and from unknown addresses. $340 for a business photographer. $612 for luxury skincare. $2,700 in rent she hadn't paid since January, covered by me. $1,800 in credit card charges I was now legally responsible for because I'd added her to my account as an authorized user. I wasn't looking at receipts anymore. I was looking at a case file. I found the synced backup of her old iPad too, something we had set up months ago and forgotten about. It was still connected to her iMessages. That's when I saw everything. The voice notes, the hotel confirmations, the audio messages of her mocking my generosity, laughing with her friends about how easy I was. And then I found one last text to her friend. He's good for another few months. Then I'll move on. Let me milk this one first. That was it. That was the moment. Not the cheating. Not the lying. Not even the financial betrayal. It was that sentence. That word. Milk. Like I was a cow. A source. A walking ATM with a heartbeat. I didn't cry. Didn't shout. Didn't even clench my fists. I just sat back and opened a new document. Invoice Maya Daniels. If she wanted to treat me like a wallet, fine. But wallets don't love you back. And this one was about to close. From that point forward, everything I did was with intention. No outbursts. No suspicion. No confrontation. I became what she never expected. Silent. Strategic. Dangerous. The first thing I did was open a private Google Drive. I uploaded every screenshot, every PDF, every Uber receipt and Amazon package. I color-coded them by month and category. Then I exported a full report from my credit card, itemizing which charges were hers and which were mine. It wasn't petty. It was preparation. Next, I called my bank and removed her as an authorized user. Canceled the shared Netflix, the food delivery subscriptions, the extra phone line I had been paying on her behalf. Then I changed my passwords. All of them. Apple ID, Gmail, PayPal, Venmo, even the smart lock code to my apartment. I kept her access for now, but I was in control. She never noticed. She was too busy editing content at a rooftop pool I'd never seen. I scheduled a quiet meeting with a lawyer. A woman. Sharp. Older. The moment I showed her the file, she didn't blink. She said, "You're not married, but if she's been living off you and using your money under false pretenses, there are ways to get your money back, legally." We drafted an official demand for repayment, backed by all my evidence. No threats. No drama. Just numbers. Cold and exact. I told her I wanted to deliver it myself. She raised an eyebrow. "You sure you're ready to face her?" I smiled. "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to settle a bill." 2 days later, I made a reservation at her favorite high-end restaurant, the same one where she once said, "Don't worry, babe. One day I'll be rich, and you'll never have to pay again." I told her I wanted to celebrate her progress. She wore a designer dress. Hair curled, makeup perfect. Lip gloss shimmering like nothing was wrong. She smiled when she saw me. Said, "I miss this. Us." I smiled back. "Me too. It's time we balance things out." She ordered appetizers, wine, the $52 scallops. I didn't eat. I barely drank. Then, right before dessert, I pulled a black folder from my coat and slid it across the table. "What's this?" "Your total." "Huh?" She opened it. Inside, a cover sheet titled Reimbursement Request. 17 pages of categorized charges, itemized by date, description, and account. Final total, $11,742.83. Her face went pale. "Is this a joke?" "No." "You're billing me?" "No." "I'm asking for repayment. Billing would imply you had a choice." She started laughing, then yelling. I didn't raise my voice, didn't blink. I just leaned in and said, "I know everything. The texts, the fake studio shoots, the guy you call Cam with the flame emoji. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to end this and walk away clean." She went silent, and I finished with this. "You have two options. Pay me back, or my attorney files a civil claim next week, backed by financial documentation, text messages, location logs, and synced iMessage history. Oh, and I've already preemptively protected myself from any false claims you might attempt." She didn't say a word, just sat there, staring at the total. I stood up. "This dinner? Already paid for. Consider it the last." And I walked out. The next morning, she texted me 5 times. "We need to talk. This is insane. I thought you loved me. You're acting like a stranger. Don't do this." I didn't reply. I forwarded the text to my lawyer, and then I blocked her. The silence was my statement. That same week, she started posting on social. Passive-aggressive captions, cryptic stories, a blurry photo of her crying in the mirror with the caption, "You think you know someone." Then came the DM smears, screenshots taken out of context, sent to mutuals, trying to spin a narrative that I was controlling, bitter, insecure. She tried to bury the truth under victimhood. But the truth had teeth, and I had receipts. I made one single post. No rant. No details. Just a calm carousel of screenshots. The Uber ride she swore never happened. The text about milking me. The itemized breakdown of charges with dates. A voice note of her laughing about how He still thinks I'm working. Caption. Love isn't blind. It's expensive. Here's what it cost me. That post didn't go viral. It didn't need to. But it reached the exact people it had to. Her influencer friends ghosted her. A small brand she was in talks with for a paid collab quietly backed out. And a few days later, she deleted the post where she was crying. Meanwhile, my lawyer filed the formal repayment demand. We gave her 10 business days to respond. She tried to push back, said she had no means to repay. My lawyer offered a payment plan. She went silent. So we filed in small claims court. In the courtroom, she showed up acting sweet, soft-spoken, meek, nervous. She told the judge she was confused, that she never signed anything, that I paid willingly. But then my lawyer opened the folder. Messages where she referred to me as a walking cash app. The synced iPad messages. The fake business expenses. The note to her friend. Let me milk this one before I move on. The courtroom went silent. The judge looked at her, then back at me, and said, You may not have signed a contract, but this is clear financial exploitation. The evidence supports reimbursement. We were awarded the full amount, plus court fees. She didn't look at me once as we walked out of that courtroom. And I didn't need her to. Because for the first time in months, maybe years, I finally felt free. She tried to pay in small chunks, but eventually defaulted. My lawyer froze her small business account. And that was the final nail. Because now, she's not just blocked from my life. She's blocked from the income one once helped her build. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't petty. It was paperwork. It was silence. It was walking away, with every receipt in order, and her lies turned into debt. It's been 9 months since that night at the restaurant. Since I slid the bill across the table, and closed the tab on a life that was never really mine. A lot's changed. My apartment is quieter. My wallet is healthier. And for the first time in years, my reflection feels honest. I've spent time rebuilding, not just my finances, but myself. I stopped trying to be a provider for someone who only saw me as a plan. I started going to therapy. Took a solo trip out west. Reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years, people who used to say things like, You disappeared, man. You were always covering for her. They were right. I didn't just lose money in that relationship. I lost myself, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, until I forgot what it felt like to be seen, really seen, not for what I could offer, but for who I actually am. I'm dating again. Carefully. Slowly. I don't lead with my job. I don't flash money. I watch how people treat the small moments, who reaches for the bill without hesitation, who says thank you, who remembers the little things. I've learned that love without respect is just emotional debt. And I'm done paying interest on someone else's illusion. As for Maya, last I heard, she started a backup page with a smaller following. Tries to give financial advice now. I don't follow. I don't care. Because she didn't just lose access to my bank account. She lost access to the version of me that let people use him just to feel needed. The truth is, she took everything. My time. My trust. My patience. But she couldn't take my soul. And from that, I rebuilt my life. Not for revenge. Not for justice. Not for some big cinematic ending. I did it for me. If you've ever felt used, if you've ever been made to feel small just for being generous, know this. You don't owe anyone your peace just because they smiled when they took it. Protect your value. Reclaim your voice. And never apologize for sending the bill. If this story hit you, hit that subscribe button. Because this channel, it's for people like you.